that they could actually help me get back into my home.
So you met a provost marshal
by telephone.
Where did you see? Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, by telephone. Okay. Someone referred me to them, and I actually had a conversation with them. I'm waiting to hear back from them because they have a judge that they want me to speak to that's in the system.
Okay. You know that they have to go by your, a Moorish American judge's orders. They can't go by the orders of a U.S. corporation.
They affirmed that as well, but there was a question that came up that they said we could use the insight of that judge. So that's why they wanted me to talk to them. I'm waiting for them to get back to me. It's not that we're going back into the court. He just wanted to get clarification. But he was saying
those guys
follow the Moorish orders.
Okay.
That he did say. So I was very happy to hear that.
Yeah, Islam.
Islam.
Yeah, they're going to be, to me it's like, if you all had all these answers, why didn't you just bring them forward before now? You know what I'm saying? But, we have to be mindful that, people are going to be coming out of the woodwork with all types of stuff, and we have to be competent and cognizant of that and make sure that they understand that it's, that it's our jurisdiction that they're in and not their own. Yeah. Because they don't have a jurisdiction, Either you're stateless or you're us.
Right, exactly.
I heard some of the craziest stuff that the citizens are trying to do to get out of citizenship, that stateless state. They're coming up with all types of space colonies where they're now a citizen of, space colony, whatever names they give it, and they usually give it a name that comes from our culture. And, they're saying that they're citizens of this colony and that colony, and they're no longer citizens of, the UK or the US or blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, no matter what citizenship you claim, if you're not in alignment with the supreme law of the land, you're stateless, period. And they're selling those citizenships for upwards of 50,000 fiat notes. And they're worthless. It's crazy. They're doing some of everything to get out of that status. But you can't just self-appoint on our planet. There are laws here. So, and we're actually...
They'd like to think that they could do anything they like.
Well, they would like to think that, but at the end of the day, there are forces that will put them back in alignment if they don't get back in alignment, and they are aware of that. They'll let them skate with that mess for about 5 minutes, just enough for them to gauge what type of interest there is in it. But at the beginning and end of the day, they still have to come through the government, which is us. But they'll let them skate for a minute or two. They're letting them go and claim dual citizenship with a space colony and all of this kind of stuff. And it's like, y'all don't even come from space, so y'all might want to check that out first.
Maria Zamaya, babe.
Islam.
Islam, everybody.
Islam.
Yeah, they might want to check that out first before they call themselves getting ready to go into space. You're earthbound.
Islam, Elizabeth.
Islam,
Brother Morpheus.
Islam.
Milky.
Islam. But yeah, we're hearing all kinds of. I'm like, you guys are jabbing at the dark. Y'all better get in alignment. You know, I may even go ahead and play this. Well, we'll wait about. It's about 6 minutes until start time, and then after that, we'll give everybody about 5 minutes to come in, so that there won't be that constant dinging that happens when people come into the meeting. So. And then we'll ask everyone, Islam kinship. And then we'll ask everybody to *6 their phones eventually, but not right now. You don't have to do it right now. Right now, we just kind of want to hear everybody checking in and doing a quick energy check. Islam. I'm just really excited about all that the ancestors are doing in our nation. It's just, boy, I tell you, wait till y'all hear what the last 3 weeks have been like. It's been crazy. It's been crazy over here in the best way possible. Some people wouldn't think it's a great thing, but the ancestors are showing me. Islam, Noble Malik, Zaid Bey. Islam, thank you for that. I love you too very much. I'll do anything for my nation. Islam, Empress Sharon. Yep, I will do anything for my nation. Period. We're going to be free. This is our land, you know.
Islam.
So, Islam. Islam, Empress Carolyn. Islam, Brother D.C. Bay. Islam. I'm going to mute everyone. Islam, today is December 5th, 2019, and this is the class regarding how to deal with corporations on our land and uncovering the resources that the corporations are using so that they can be used for our good, as they are our resources in the first place. So I'm going to mute everyone, and then when it's time to unmute, you can just *6 at the end, when, or if you have any questions. But we want to stay on topic, and we want to go ahead and get through this meeting so that we can, and then we'll share after we get through this document right here. Okay. Okay. I am Judge Light Tajiri Bey, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredis. No United States corporation company citizen has personam jurisdiction over the Moors, and for that I am so grateful. I'll just give a quick testament with regard to the last 3 weeks here at Moorish American Consulate West. It has been crazy over here, but I'm loving every minute of it. This particular consulate is it is in the jurisdiction of our ancestral inherited estate, and it is near Federal Way, Washington Territory. And so for, many of you know that we have begun consular court in this territory. And in fact, consular court has been going on all over our nation with regard to this process that we're doing right here. All Moorish American nationals are sovereign and have the authority to do this process right here with regard to anyone who is attempting to violate. And so we were doing this process for the policy enforcers here. And we put out a little video of the first part of the process before we gave our judgment and put the final judgment out there. But as we were going through this process and talking about it and getting ready to do it, policy enforcers started coming to the door and knocking on the door every day. They would knock twice, ring the doorbell twice, and then leave. And so some of you who are on social media may have seen the photo that I posted of them out there in the travel way, which some call a driveway, but it's not a driveway because we don't drive, we travel. And you know, some of the Moors were a little bit alarmed by that photo, that image of policy enforcers out there like that. And I didn't mean to alarm anyone, but my point for that is that, you know, even as we're going through this process right here, they looked in all of their systems. I already know what they were doing. They looked in all of their systems and they were looking for a contract. Not an affidavit, they were looking for contracts. And since they couldn't find a contract, they've been coming, because I've suggested that everyone put on the public record that you terminated all contracts with the corporations, a universal sovereign termination of contracts. And so they looked and couldn't find anything, so they came here and they began looking at conveyances in the travel way and looking to see if there was a contract there. They sent plainclothes people with clipboards to the door, wanting a signature or to contract, trying to get me to cop to a name, which, you know, we don't have names. Names is for property and slaves. That's not for the nobility of the land. And so, you know, we don't answer the door when policy enforcers come. So they came, and they've been doing that for 3 weeks now, trying to get a contract because they don't have one. And to me, that's the most reassuring thing that I have ever seen in my life, because, you know, we've seen it on TV and they have us programmed to think that if they come to the door and they knock, that we actually have to open it or they'll kick it in. But that's not the case, especially not with the Moors. They can do that with the citizens all day, every day, I believe, but they shouldn't even be doing it then, really, because this is our land and they don't have any authority on our land. But it's just been, you know, it's been something else to have them knock on the door every day and start talking to the door, because I know they're not talking to me. Talking to the door. And at first they were being slick and sneaky and trying to act like, oh, we don't really know what's going on. We don't know that this is the Moorish American Consulate West. We just knocking on the door to, you know, see if we can get an autograph, a signature on this paper. Well, you know, of course we don't open the door. So I took a photograph of them. I got up in the window and they saw me. I took a photograph of them. And then I called them into court, into consular court. And I called the chief of the policy enforcers in, and that is what was posted on YouTube, on my channel on YouTube, calling them in to have them to state their name and nationality for the record, because that's what we have to identify who's on our land. And I'm like, I'm certainly not opening the door and I don't know who this is on our land. I need to know who you are. And if you're honorable, you'll show up and state your name and nationality for the record.
Alibaba El Camino Bay is in the house.
And we love you, El Camino Bay. We love you. You can say.
I love your video the other day about the court with the police. That was hilarious. And same with Princess
but
Ali.
You have to be quiet. We love you, but you have to be quiet, or else we have to boot you. Okay. All right. We love you because we created you. All right. Now, and so what happened is, see, we're gonna treat that with love this time. We're not even gonna trip. We're gonna love them on through. So anyway, I took their photograph. I posted it on social media, and after posting it on social media, clearly someone must have called them and said, "Hey, look over there." And so, you know, the day after that, they came and knocked on the door, and of course they started talking to the door again because I know they weren't talking to me, so I didn't bother to open it. Didn't talk through the door because I don't know who that is. I don't recognize any authority or anything like that. In fact, they might as well not have been out there because, you know, we're the law. So if we're the law and you didn't bother to show up for court, who are you? And so at this point, we have decided that, you know, we're going to go ahead and we issued our ruling that they did not show up for court. And since they didn't show up for court, we went ahead and issued an arrest command for them. And that's what we're looking at here on the screen today is an arrest command for the policy enforcers to be picked up. That's not setting too well based on what I'm seeing in the comments and things that are, you know, that the feedback that I'm getting from the Albions. But, you know, and I'm telling everyone the same thing, we're not at war, okay? Just a moment. LaWanda, I can do that. You know, did you want it enlarged for the document, LaWanda? Because I can move me all the way out of the way. Okay, let me just do the screen share thing. Let me move myself all the way out of the way. Get out the way, Light. This is not about you. This is about getting these people together on our land, these foreigners. Let me unlock this. Okay, and I'm hoping that the document is showing. It should be, yeah, okay. Is that better, LaWanda? Can you see it? Can you see the document?
I was trying to tell you, if you just go right above where it says Republic, there's a plus sign, and that'll do it for you.
This right line right here? Republic. Okay. Can you see it now?
A little bit bigger for me, please. Just hit that plus sign right above the Republic, and that'll do it.
Is that good right there?
That's better. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. So anyway, they have been coming every day, knocking on the door and asking for, you know, corporations that do not exist. And of course, the first couple of days, I was, you know, the programming kicked in, and I was, you know, I felt some fear. But I started talking to the ancestors, and it's been 3 weeks, and they've gotten absolutely, they come, they knock on the door, they ring the doorbell, and then they leave. Because they're not going to get any contracts. They don't have any, and we're not going to give them any because we're not corporations, and we're not their citizens. So this is the Universal Sovereign Affidavit of Command for Arrest and Imprisonment. This follows the first document that was placed on YouTube, and most of you all, if you go to social media, you can see on Like Tajiri Bay's page, you can see that video of the last trial, the last cause of action that was done with regard to the policy enforcers here. And I'm just excited because after all that has been said and done, it is being proven to me by the ancestors that they really don't have anything. They don't have anything. There is none. Now, at some point, we're going to have to come out of that fear piece. At some point, we have to. We don't have a choice. We can't stay stuck in one place. We cannot stay stuck in one place. Okay? Has anyone tried terminating all contracts with them, putting an affidavit on all benefits, and then from that day forward using a red pen to sign everything that you sign and signing it in propria persona sui juris, all rights exercised at all times? No matter what you sign it with your appellation, your Moorish American appellation, and in propria persona sui juris, all rights exercised at all times. We actually have to elevate to the point where we are willing to terminate the contracts with them so that they won't have anything to kick the doors in and violate the Moors. I can show you war rents that have been mailed to this mailing location. But they can't act on them because, number one, that's not me, okay? No name in all capital letters is any of the Moors, and they know that. They know it. And when you terminate all contracts, that's going to be the case. They won't be able to do anything to the Moors as long as we continue to not respond to those names. They won't be able to. But we have to get to that point first where we cut off in writing on the public record all contracts with them. If I terminate all contracts today and then I sign something tomorrow with a black pen and talking about I'm Jane Doe, then that's a whole nother contract right there. And I don't care if it's a lunch ticket or a credit card, you know, those are all resources on our land that as in our natural standing and in propria persona sui juris, we can use all of that stuff as long as we're in our proper person. So what you're saying is correct to a degree, but there are many of us who don't have anyone. We don't have a group of 30 Moors where we are. And in fact, the majority of us don't have 30 Moors. So we got to get competent and get past that so that we don't have to be afraid. Okay? Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. We have to get competent to where when they come to the door, they already know they're not going to get an answer because they're calling for a citizen. Most of us don't have 30 Moors. I know I don't. And again, like I was saying at the beginning, they come here and have been coming here every day almost. And this is the thing, this is how we know what they want. Is they sent plain clothes. They tried all types of tricks and twists and turns trying to get someone to open the door and sign something. They even sent a plain clothes, like somebody that they grabbed up off the corner and said, we'll give you $20 to take this Amazon.com box to the door, knock on the door, and see if you can get them to open it and sign something. So we just sat and let Amazon and that fakeness go on its way because it's the same people. We didn't need 30 Moors for that piece because we're not those names. I'm not even like Tajiri Bay in all capital letters. That's still not me. That's a corporation. That's not who I am. And again, when we speak, we are the living. When they speak, they're the dead. They can't call you forward. The dead can't do that unless they enjoin with you by your consent. So, again, most of us don't have 30 or 40 more, so we're gonna have to do it in a way where we cut off all contracts, and then when they come, they get nothing because we don't agree to nothing. We don't consent to anything. And then there have been cases where people had 30 Moors and they were still taken. So we have to get to the point where we just don't have anything with them. We have to. We don't have a choice in that matter unless we want to continue to answer to those names. Why answer to a name? You're not a slave. Okay? And we can go around and around and around about that. We can. But why would you want to keep contracts with them? That's the real question. Why would any Moors, and I'm just talking in general, I'm not talking specifically to anyone, I'm talking in general, cut the contracts. Cut them. Terminate them. And then any resources that you use, whether it be Social Security, whether it be VA benefits, whether it be disability, those are all assets, or not assets because that's not the right financial word, but those are all resources on your land that you can use if you want to use them because they belong to us anyway. But make sure you sign all new business in your new name. And then when they call, correct them when they are wrong, when they give a wrong name, etc. We have to. We got to elevate. Elevate. Come on up. Quit them. They don't love us.
Islam, sister, I think that clarification or a deeper scenario or not even scenario, things that happen to a Moor needs to be demonstrated because I've cut, and there was times when I have cut contracts with them, Islam, and all contracts and things that refer to that. And in the midst of being pulled over, I didn't have any of their state or issued identification or any of that, but yet and still when they pulled me over in my conveyance, my conveyance was not had nothing to do with them in particular as well. But when they kidnap you and take you into a venue where they forcibly or whatever fingerprint you that comes up with their so-called identity that is different than what you have conveyed.
Well,
there's no contract, but you're
hold on. Let me ask you a couple of questions about the no contract.
I know. Let me get to the end of it. Sister.
Okay.
Is that when there was no contract conveyed, they still tried to put you in there, but they're holding you under that scenario of something that was old business that wasn't how you were, how I was living. So therefore, I asked what I'm talking about. If they're not going to come into my home, and no one has come to my home who have kidnapped me, because of course I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to open the door. They have to execute. But let's go back to the beginning though, because in the beginning you said when they pulled you over that, and you danced a little bit around that no contract thing. So you did dance a little bit around that. And that's the part that I want to discuss right there. The no contract. Well, let me ask you though, because you said you had no contract. Do you have any business contracts, any business corporate contracts? Do you have any mortgages? Okay. No, they didn't. No, I didn't. And they didn't pull me over. They didn't take my conveyance, which is a normal practice for the policy enforcers, because it wasn't contracted with them. There was no contract with them.
But that's not the question. That's not the question.
I didn't have any contract with them. No.
Do you have any corporate contract with them where
at that time,
mortgages?
At that particular time, no. I didn't have any corporate contract with them. I was not contracted. I rescind all contracts with them, period. I didn't have any.
Rescind or terminate?
They were terminated. They were rescind and terminated.
So you danced around that, and now you're laughing.
Because I'm not dancing around it. It's because you're asking under the assumption that it wasn't done, and it wasn't done to that effect, but it was.
No, I'm not under any assumption. I'm listening to you.
Because the only thing they had was fingerprinting to try to misidentify who I was,
Well,
and that's where they're
because we can go all the way back again to the side of the road. Did you talk to them on the side of the road? Yes, you did. That's a contract. Did you talk to them on the side of the road?
Inside my conveyance?
Yes. Did you talk to them on the side of the road? Did you verbally talk to them?
They came, yes. I pulled over absolutely after there was a few different vehicles of theirs following me, which my children were in the car, and I didn't want them to.
No, I'm not saying did you pull over. That's not the question, because that's a safety issue. We want everybody. We have to pull over.
And that's what I'm talking about.
And what I'm saying is, what was that conversation? Did they say, "Can I see your driver's license, insurance, et cetera," and then what did you say?
What did I say?
Yes. What did you say to him?
I said, no, I don't have any of that. I don't need to have any of that. That's not who I am. So,
okay. And then what? And then he said?
And then they said, well, can you step out of the car? I said, no.
Okay.
But then,
a conversation with them. But then what?
I have my children in the car, so you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. These are the things that cause people to act.
I get that. You don't have to. I get it. I get why.
No,
I get because there's fear.
No,
I get that.
So I'm saying I wasn't going to. Yes, I was talking to them. I wasn't entering any contract with them, telling them, well, yes, I'm who you are or whatever. I told them that I'm.
Well, you don't have to say that.
No, I'm just saying that I already I didn't give them any identity. I told them I was talking somewhat, but
let me just say this, and I'll move on. But let me just say this: when you spoke to them, and they started asking you for things, and you started responding, they weren't talking to you. They were talking to a nom de guerre. That's the point I'm trying to make.
They were.
And if you keep responding every time they talk, they're going to say, okay, this is a nom de guerre. Let's identify this nom de guerre the way we want to identify him. He's agreed that he's a nom de guerre because he keeps talking to us and answering questions. We know that. Now, come on. If you continue to answer questions that they ask you, then all they're doing is establishing jurisdiction. That's why we don't answer the door. Because they will take that to mean, okay, my authority has been established. And now I can ask them all types of questions because I talk to nom de guerres. And the war has begun. So when you say you didn't have any contracts, and that's what I just said a few minutes ago, we don't then recontract with them. And then say, I terminated all contracts. Why did they take me? They took you because you recontracted. Again, they're going to continue to come at us with contracts, okay? But that's why we're doing the things that we're doing. Hold on, Majesty Kadar, because I want other people to have a chance to speak to. I was with you. Well, and I appreciate that. But what I'm saying is you contracted with them when you started answering their questions. That's the point I'm trying to make. Okay.
I even contracted with them realistically when I pulled over because that's acquiescence, that's consent. But under the terms of that condition, then that's why I'm saying that under military, their so-called military or policy enforcement capability, it puts us under duress and threat, of course, coercion that does it.
I get it. Now, we're going to move on to something else because, again, when you start answering their questions, that's contracting with them. And I know we're afraid. I know it because when they knocked on the door, something in me, the programming kicked in me with a little bit of fear, too. And at first it wasn't even a little bit of fear. It was a lot of fear. Okay? But that doesn't mean I'm going to run downstairs and start chatting with the dead. I'm not dead. Why would I do that? I'm not going to chat with them, period. And so that's what I was saying. Once all of this is done, think not that they're not going to continue to attempt, to gain or establish some type of jurisdiction. They're going to continue to pursue contracts because that's how they eat. But if we don't give them contracts, they don't get to eat and they don't get a contract. They have to stick with what we put with the law, which is what we put on the record. And that's where we need to go from here. Because our job is to get to a place and then find out where to go from there. We're not going to stay in one place. We're going to find out what's next. What's next is, okay, we're scared. I get it. We're fearful. We get scared. I get it. But we still have to protect ourselves. Ourselves with the competence that, and I'm not calling anybody incompetent by any means, but we got to elevate. And either you want to elevate or you don't. Either we want to move higher or we don't. Make up the mind. And here's the thing, even the ones that don't want to move higher, we're still going to assist them because our nation is moving forward, period. We're not leaving not a single somebody behind, nobody. We're not leaving anyone behind. But we still have to elevate and move on. Okay? And that's what this process is all about is, okay, they're always coming with their little paper, not even talking to us. So we're going to speak directly to them from our sovereign authority, our status as sovereign on the land. And then when we do that, we're going to continue to not contract with them. If I had gone down to the door and started chatting through the door, he could have kicked it open. Because he thinks he's hearing a citizen talking back to him. But he's not. I'm not a citizen, and neither are any of you. Okay? And even with all of this paperwork on the public record, even with all that I put on the public record, because I'm sovereign and because every word can and will be used to protect me or not, I need to know what to say, when to say, and when to be quiet. Because folks ain't talk. You know how they used to tell us, speak when you're spoken to? I got it. I'm going to speak when I'm spoken to. And if I'm not being spoken to, I'm not speaking. Because you're not talking to me. That's just polite. And polite is maybe not the best word for sovereign, but it is what it is. So once we call them in, and those people that violated you on the side of the road, they need to be called in to your court so that they can state their name and nationality for the record. And if they don't appear, we make our judgment. And then we send the Provost Marshal after them. The Provost Marshal, again, is waking up, just like we're waking up, okay? And so some people say, well, how will we know that the Provost Marshal took them? We don't know right now. We know that the Provost Marshal has to do what we say just like everyone else. So we're going to put it out there. We're going to do the right thing. We have to be in honor first, and this is how you prove you're in honor. By governing on your own land and not doing it out of hate, greed, revenge, any of that. It's done out of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, where we want our land to be right. And when we do it with the right energy, the ancestors honor that. That's the most important thing out of all of this, is having the right energy. Now, we can fight this all day, We can fight it, or we can elevate and keep going. It's all, the power of life and death is in our tongue. We know that. So, again, this process, once they have not, and this is a peacekeeping process right here. Universal Sovereign Affidavit of Command for Arrest and Imprisonment. That's a peacekeeping move. That's not a war move. That's to keep the peace on the land so that they won't continue to be lawless around here. And no one will respect the Moors if we don't enforce the law. Again, the contracts come out of our mouth. Yes, we put all of that stuff on the record, but the contracts come from here. We can't do that. Every Moor who's ever been taken, there was some contract coming out somewhere, whether it was at that moment or a previous moment, myself included. When I was taken in 2017, they pulled me over on the side of the road. I pulled over, and I was only 5 months old in 2017, and they said, roll down your window and let me see your ID, driver's license, etc. And I gave them Moorish American ID. Well, wrong move. They don't have the authority to ask me for anything. Wrong move on my part. And I paid for that move, but it was good because I learned so much while I was in there for that month almost. It was 24 days that I was in there. And I got to see what the ancestors were trying to show me during my testing. So I don't loathe being in there at that time. Now I'm just making sure that we don't have to go back there. So we're going to be competent in what we do. We have to. We don't have a choice. Okay? Don't give yourself any out. Don't resist, elevating what we do. We can't resist elevating, and we can't resist, we can't loathe testing. We're going to be tested. This month is a test month, according to the cosmologists and astrologers for our nation. This month, December, is a test month. And sure enough, it came roaring in with tests. And so we're just grateful that those tests have proven fruitless on their part and very fruitful on our part. Do I wonder when they're going to stop coming? Yeah, I wonder when they're going to stop coming. But my consort and I have determined that, we're not going to respond to that because they're not talking to us. So, once, and again, even with all of these causes of action that we're doing, we have one main cause of action that we know will keep us in our proper jurisdiction. The cause of action is a cause of action that the Albion occupiers cannot use. They cannot ever say that that they are charging us with unlawful occupation of sovereign original indigenous land. They can never say that. They can never say that. That's reserved for the Moors. Okay? So let's go up a little bit. And that's actually the overarching universal cause of action. And even when you look in Ex parte Milligan, when you start doing your research on Ex parte Milligan, for those who are going to be looking into that, Ex parte Milligan mentions a cause of action instead of a case number. Okay? Cases are for citizens. Causes of action are for us, for sovereign nationals. And again, like we always say, you can be a sovereign or you can be a citizen, but you can't be both. So on this document, it says here in red, the said U.S. corporation citizens did not appear as commanded by the original indigenous sovereign people who are the Moorish American Consular Court and the Moorish National Republic Federal Government. The immediate arrest of said U.S. citizens is hereby commanded as pursuant to the above stated cause of action. And then we'll use this one, Andy J. Huang, doing business as police chief, and all agents, all principals, all heirs, all assigns, all derivatives thereof, you were hereby commanded to appear at the Moorish American Consular Court to state your name and nationality for the record to the people who are the Moorish National Republic Federal Government. Let me just stop right there. Everything that we do, when we do it as a unit, it cannot fail. Everything that we do, when we do it in unity, with one voice, it cannot fail. I don't care what it is. It cannot fail when we are unified and we do it as a nation. We are unstoppable when we stay together. That's why we're putting the processes out there and just everyone speaking with one voice, okay? It's working like a charm. Some people may not see it working right now. Just keep demonstrating, you'll see it. And the more you demonstrate, the more you will see it working. Okay? This court has sovereign jurisdiction, back to the document. This court has sovereign jurisdiction in all matters on our land, every last one of them. There's not a matter on our land that we don't hold sovereign jurisdiction because we are the sovereign jurisdiction. That's what the law is. We are the law. We are the government. The American Provost Marshal has been commanded by the people to arrest you immediately and place you in jail at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba permanently. By the way, speaking of Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, there are 3 offshore penal colonies. There are 3 offshore penal colonies. And there really should not be any penitentiaries and jails and prisons on our land. There really shouldn't. There never was before the colonizers got here. And so we're putting them offshore. The penal colonies are Puerto Rico, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and let me see, what is the other one? It's Puerto Rico, Guantanamo Bay. Guam, absolutely. Thank you, Empress. I appreciate that. It's Guam. That's right. That's right. So those were set up as penal colonies for them when we got ready to clear the land of them. And them is the lawless ones. Now, we're not talking about all Albions, because some Albions are going to get into subject status, and some have been getting into subject status willingly and consenting to subject status. And when they consent to subject status and are lawful, and they honor the sovereignty of the board, they don't have any problems with us. None whatsoever. Get right on in alignment with the law. And, you know, it's all good. So we don't hate anyone. And in fact, we're doing this because we love our land and we love those lawful ones who want to enjoy our land. That's why we're doing what we're doing. It's so that everyone can freely enjoy all of the benefits of this land that we have here, unencumbered by lawless commercial mercenaries. That's what this is all about. Okay, back to the document. All of your commerce and that of all agents, principals, heirs, and assigns is hereby terminated by way of Sovereign Universal Commercial Code 1 lien. So a lien is a part of this process. This arrest command is hereby activated and given to the American Provost Marshal for immediate action. All of your actions and that of each and all of your agents, principals, heirs, and assigns is hereby terminated nunc pro tunc. That means anything that they had going on is terminated, period. Anything that anything that they had going on was unlawful in the first place. But we terminate it in writing, and then we tell the Provost Marshal that we've terminated it. And then back to the document, the American military is hereby commanded to begin peacekeeping actions near Federal Way, Washington Territory, using the resources that the former Federal Way Police Department Corporation has been unlawfully occupying. Because every single one of those resources belongs to the people who are the Moorish National Republic federal government, and they know it. No, you don't get to drive around or travel around in conveyances that don't belong to you. Those belong to the people. All resources shall be marked with the Moorish American flag so that said flag is easily seen by the public. And this went out on the public record this week. And what we're doing right now as a nation, all Moors, what we're doing right now by putting the law out there is we're making our voices heard very loudly. Okay? We have to do that. And with regard to the resources piece, the colonizers, just one second. The colonizers, let me see. Judge Tariq, happy born day. Today is Judge Tariq's birthday.
Islam, Empress, I appreciate it.
Yes, we right here, we tracking. These actions that we're doing are so that we can uncover the resources that belong to the Moors. And all of the conveyances that they use, everything that they use, everything, and I mean everything, belongs to the Moors. The gas that they use in the conveyances belongs to us. That's the ancestors behind me, by the way. Anything that they use, the sandwiches that they eat for lunch belongs to the Moors. Everything that they use belongs to us. And so we're in the process of uncovering all of that, okay? And that's why this process is so important. And that every single Moor at North America should be doing it. Okay? Every single one of us should be doing it so that we continue to uncover our resources. And when we uncover our resources, okay, and we put the military there in charge of the resources, then they become the subjects and doing what we need them to do in terms of governing in our territory. And again, our Provost Marshal piece is a peacekeeping move. We're not at war with any subjects. Why would we war with the subjects? They just have to do what we say, period. Period. So no, we're not at war with you, and we're not going to argue with you. We're just going to put that law out there and let the Provost Marshal do their thing too, So we want to continue in this vein. Again, all Moors should be doing this process. Are there any questions about uncovering the resources? Because there are some steps that we can do there as well that fall in alignment with the lien process that's a part of this, okay? The lien process that's a part of this, we can foreclose on the property and still tell the military to go ahead and take over that property. Or we can foreclose on the property, and then once the military wakes all the way up and starts doing what we tell them to do, which will be shortly, and we don't know that they're not already doing it. That's the part we don't know. But we know that they have to, and they know they have to too, because we paid them, and that's the only way they're going to eat. So all of the foreclosure process is just a matter of once the lien is done, you can either put it in the lien or you can put it in an affidavit after you've done the lien and say, okay, XYZ Corporation, you've been liened. You are to vacate the premises. You have 24 hours or 48 hours or 3 days or however long to vacate the premises. And the military, and here's the thing, we do want to put that military component in between everything that we do. We really do want to do that. We want to put that out there, and then we sit back and we just continue demonstrating and being active. So that It will give the military the opportunity to go ahead and wake all the way up. We know that, you know, according to sources out there, you know, people just running their mouths out there about, oh my God, the corporation is falling apart, you know, the military is split in half and people want to kill Trump and blah, 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 blah. Okay, all of that has nothing to do with us except for the fact that everything that's splitting in half is a prophecy. You know, they have the prophecy where, you know, the United States, America was going to be split. Well, that split has already happened. And there's half of the military that's constitutional that wants to do the right thing. And let's just face it, they want to stay here on our land because they don't have any place else to go. That's going to be like this. And, you know, we're not being arrogant, but the truth is the truth. We're not going to hide the truth, you know, trying to be humble for people. It's the truth. It just is what it is. This is a beautiful land. It's prosperous. And that's why people want to stay here. That's why people come here, and people are trying to claim it. That's not that, you know, the land doesn't even belong to them. If they want to claim it, okay, fine. You can say what you want to say. The law is what it is. It's not going to change. And so we have to continue speaking to the military so that they can go ahead and wake all the way up, know who's paying the bills, and then start doing what we tell them to do. And as you can see earlier in the call, one of the Moors mentioned that he's already come in contact with the Provost Marshal. So we know that they are starting to wake up. And we know that they know that the Moors are awake. And many of you who have sent in your documents to the Provost Marshal, they did what they were supposed to do, which is open the document and read it to see if there are any orders from the government, which is the people, and then close it back up and note it. Make sure that they put it in their records and note that they received that this is another Moorish American national who has awakened. So let's make sure that we note that that's who that is. And then they send it back to you, you know, with clear evidence that they've opened it up and they've read it and they know that you're a Moorish American national and that their duty is to you. And that's what all of this is all about. So with regard to, again, uncovering the resources, the foreclosure part is just a matter of an affidavit done by the Moors. Okay? Islam Empress Morris Bay, Sharon Morris Bay said that she got the green cards back from sending her documents. We've gotten plenty of them back as well, and that's exciting too because at one point, you know, we weren't getting as much feedback, but that's feedback. That's post-analytic data from the demonstration. Green cards is post-analytic data. That means they know about it and they're doing something about it. We got back, we're just now getting green cards back, and it's been over the last week or two that we're getting the green cards back from what was formerly called banks, but they're in the process of upgrading their financial systems to fit the Moors so that they can do current gold coinage and gold exchanges rather. And we're starting to get those back from the different savings and trusts. You know, I don't know if institution is the right word. I'm gonna have to do the address of the Provost Marshal. Someone, Valerie Barker Bay, Empress Valerie, put in the chat, what's the address of the Provost Marshal? I pretty much have it committed to memory. They don't have an address anymore. They actually have a care of mailing location. And their mailing location is care of 2800 Army Pentagon near Washington, District of Columbia Territory. And that's what we put on the envelope, on the mailing envelopes when we mail to them.
District of Columbia. Okay, thank you.
District of Columbia Territory, it's near District of Columbia Territory. And do you, in case you don't know how to, or just need a refresher on how to note the mailing locations, because nothing that I send from here has addresses on it anymore. They all have mailing locations. I've converted all addresses to mailing locations because, again, we've nationalized everything on our land, and so nobody has an address anymore. And I've been getting the green cards back, signed. I don't use zip codes, okay? I don't use zip codes at all. Just a second, let me grab a couple of those. And what else? And we just always note how things are being sent. Some of these I'm not going to show because they're not because every time we show, let me just, okay. So again, we've nationalized a great deal of our resources. We've nationalized everything, but a lot of our resources we have to, we feel it necessary in some cases to speak to those resources directly because they're going to be resources that we use regularly. And so let's just say, for example, a lot of us have been having problems with this particular resource. I'm not sure if you all can see that. This particular resource is Google. You may have to scroll your screen. You may have to scroll so that you can see. Let me see. I believe I locked. Hold on just a second. Let me make sure that the screen sharing is. Oops, I didn't. Yes, that's it. Empress Imara. Yes, Islam. Let me just make sure. Let me quit the screen sharing just a moment. Okay. Okay, can you see now? Hopefully you can.
No.
Can you see now? No?
No.
It's paused. It's paused.
Okay, just a moment. How about now?
Camera is off.
It is. It should not be. Let's see. And it's showing that my camera is on. Let's see. And it's showing me that the camera is on, but
my screen says camera is off.
Okay, just a second. Let me do this and then do this. Sure. And then do it. Is it still off?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I know what I'll do. Just a second. Okay. I don't know why it's not showing. Because I can see myself, but I can't, let me just see. Okay.
Islam, you are showing.
I am?
Yes.
Okay.
All you have to do is scroll across.
Yeah.
You are there.
Okay. You all may have to scroll up at the top. Huh?
I can't see you, and I've scrolled, and it takes me back to the free conference call logo.
Scrolling being, you have to open the video panel, because I can see other Moors in the video panel. I can see you all. Those who have their cameras on, I can see you.
Yeah, the scrolling that needs to happen is across the top of the screen. It's a vertical scroll. It's a horizontal scroll, not a vertical scroll.
Yep, if you scroll across the top. Okay, let's see. Maybe next time I'll have to. What is that? Okay. See, I can see everybody across the top, but I do have to scroll in order to see you. And it's quite a few more up there, so you have to keep scrolling until you can see. Can anyone else besides Judge Jer Moore see?
No, I can't see.
Okay. All right. So I was going to show you some of the cards that we received back and how we note their mailing locations, because we do that, you know, and again, it's just the typical way that mailing locations are noted. So even when I'm sending out to, let's say, Empress, okay, so several of you can see. Empress Bernula can see, Empress Johanna can see. So you, Noble Consul Raymond Walters Bay, you all have to scroll across the top so you can see. Scroll across the top of the screen so you can see.
She's between Jerome Con-il and Nefertari Quinn.
Huh?
It's a little dark here.
Okay, and so
I can't see.
You can't?
I can't.
Let me see. And Judge George, I can't see you. I can barely see. I can see you now.
How are you?
Can you see me?
I can't see you.
Okay. So and I can see you. This is clear. So you have if you scroll across the top.
I'm
there's
scrolling. We are 91 people, the phone, and the video, and the doors.
Yeah. So you would actually have to find the screen up there, because it's up there. I had to find yours, and then I just locked mine in. I don't know why freeconferencecall.com doesn't just, whoever's hosting, because I'm hosting the meeting, they just don't lock the screen. And then they do it for people who know how to do it, I guess. Maybe I don't know how to do it. But again, whenever we're sending out mailings, any of the mailings, with regard to speaking to our resources, I speak to that resource as if in its nationalized form. So I don't do mailing locations and all caps names and all of that. I don't have to do any of that anymore when I send things out, because I'm usually sending out commands to subjects. So for those who can see, for example, Google, we have a lot of issues with Google, right? And so recently we leaned Google and we sent them some commands, and it seemed like as soon as we leaned them, Larry Page and Sergey Brin stepped down. And that's actually been just this week. I just found that out today. Yeah, I'm like, wow, that was quick. Y'all didn't waste any time. We just leaned them like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and it was Monday that they stepped down.
Yes. and you know, here's the return card. And again, when we speak to them, I put it as Google Company, not a corporation and not in all caps. Larry Page is in lowercase because he's a subject. 25 Massachusetts Avenue Northwest, and that is all spelled out. And that's near Washington District of Columbia Territory. And soon, but that's been pretty much the standard operating procedure, is when they hear from the Moors, they assume the subject position. And those guys step down, but they're not gone anywhere. They just know that they're administrative clerks now. Because remember, the resources of the Moors is what got Google started. The resources of the Moors is what got Facebook started. So when they start talking about, oh, he's the wealthiest man, on whatever. No, he's not. Actually, the Moors are, because all of them got their wealth from us, and theirs is not even wealth, it's fiat. So, but that's what they've been doing. They usually step aside when the Moors come through, and that's why we're saying what we're saying about this process is those fake policy enforcers, they know they don't have any authority. They know they don't. The lawmakers are here, okay? The Moors are the lawmakers, and so they're going to have to give it up. Are there any questions about uncovering those resources? Because, again, the process for uncovering the resources is lien them, get a court order, a court command. Now, this is what's important about this process as well, is now that we have sent out the command for these policy enforcers to be picked up, guess what? We can now put a command on the public record saying that they're not to touch anyone until such time as the Provost Marshal can get with them. Do not detain any Moors, none whatsoever. And in these corporations, we can tell them, don't do this or do that in the favor of all Moors. That's what this is all about, is commanding the resources on our land. You got 3 days to get out. That's what governing in our territories is about. All Moors should be doing this in their territories. And if you have 20 or 30 Moors in your territory should be covered with affidavits. Covered with affidavits. And judgments should be going out almost daily on these people who are occupying unlawfully. We put the ruling on YouTube, and the feedback that we're getting is, some of them saying, well, you just threatened a police officer, and it's like, we're not threatening anybody. I didn't pick up a gun. I didn't say I was going to shoot anyone. I didn't do any of that. We're peaceful people. We're not threatening anyone. We don't have to threaten anyone on our land. We don't. We don't have to threaten anyone. We don't need a gun. All we need to do is know the law. And when we know the law, we don't worry about the rest. We just implement the law. Are there any other, let me see, they tap the people icon, scroll to light Taj camera icon, then your screen will be seen by viewer. Okay, I like that. Thank you so much. Let me just go and see. if I can make that happen. Let's see if I can make that happen. I hope so. Let's see if I can do that. Okay, it's not. Yes, so someone is saying the pen is mightier than the sword. Absolutely it is. Our pens are becoming far more mighty than when we were asleep. But even when we were asleep, our pens were mighty because they still did what we said as sovereigns, except we just didn't know what to say. You know. Now, are there any other questions from the Moors? Any other questions about the process from the Moors? We're going to be having this call every Thursday so that we can go over processes and talk to one another and get things going. Islam?
Islam. I have a question.
Islam.
As far as Provost Marshal. And when we're sending for them to be activated to, on behalf of the Moors, to go in their arrest command, and you said that they are starting to listen or do what we command. So the remedy.
We can barely hear you. Someone said speak up.
Okay, can you hear me better? Can you hear me better now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So I was saying, so when we're activating the Provost Marshal and we're sending them out commands on our behalf, arrest commands for those who we have, passed our judgments on. Therefore, they are activating, and you said that they are listening to the Moors. I was trying to find or figure what is the actual, what is the evidence of that there has been, these judges have been removed from the bench. They have been in some way honoring the law because we know they aren't lawful. So, and it's kind of, we're asking the thoughts to guard the hen house a little bit because we're asking them to stand up on behalf of the Moors when, when they're not. I mean, I don't know. So I'm just listening to hear what do we know in regards to that shows that they are, that this is happening in regards to the Provost Marshal listening and acting on behalf of the Moors and our judges.
Okay. No one acts on behalf of the Moors. No one.
Okay.
No one acts on behalf of the Moors. Let me clear up a few things here with with the language, because that is where where our freedom lies, is in the language, okay?
All right.
People who are expecting someone to act on behalf of us will not get any response from anyone because we've already said no one represents the Moors. No one. Okay, so when, and it's not if you know what nationalizing resources means, it's not that a hen is guarding, a fox is guarding the hen house when you know that whoever's paying the bills is the one who's telling the subjects what to do, because it's always been that way. Okay, that's the law. We know that the treaty is a commercial document. In case you didn't know, that is a commercial document, and that's for all Moors to know. The treaty is a commercial document. The Constitution is a commercial document. That is why we need consuls and judges to assist in that process. So what evidence do we have? We know that the law is the law. What evidence do we have that we're Moors? Because the law says so, not because somebody else said that we are. Nobody came and blessed us. Okay? We know because that's what the law says. Now, earlier in this talk, I specifically said that we're waking up the Provost Marshal too.
Yes, I heard you say.
So we have to give them the opportunity to wake up as well. We have to. It's not like they're going to jump up today and run on out there and get somebody when they need to know who the orders are coming from. Are the orders competent? Are we using the right language to activate them? And the right language means we're not corporate. We're sovereign and allodial, not corporate, sovereign and allodial. And is it coming from the people instead of just from one person or one Moor or a citizen pretending to be a Moor? Is it coming from the people? So once they verify all of that, which doesn't take but a hot minute, know that they're in their own waking up battles as well, because the military is, and if you just listen to the news, I can't prove it because I don't see them every day, but we know from what we've heard, they're split down the middle between the constitutional ones who want to do the right thing and stay on this land, and then the ones that want to remain lawless because they're thinking that they can take over our land. Okay. And so, again, what proof do we have? Let's first be who we're supposed to be and get ourselves in the right place, and we won't even have to worry about proof. We've been unlawful for a long time. We're just waking up. That's what ex parte Milligan is all about. And that's why I said do the study on ex parte Milligan. Because ex parte Milligan says that when we start doing our court actions, they have to stop. How many of you have done court actions to where they have to stop? How many have sent the Provost Marshal some orders? So again, we're just waking up to this process right here. And as we wake up and we're lawful and in our rightful place and we don't have those corporate contracts hanging out there and we don't continue to make them and we start telling the Provost Marshal to do his job because that's what we pay him to do, it's already prepaid. Everything that we do is already prepaid. We got the proof of that is because we did it. And when I say we, I mean all Moors. So when people ask for proof, I always say, what proof do you have that you've done your part? When are we going to do our part? We're doing it now. We didn't have proof that everything was prepaid until we put the proof on the public record as a nation. We were just running around telling everybody we're the heirs and everything is prepaid. Well, show us that in the law. Show us that. Show us where everything is prepaid for the Moors. But we were still running around saying that. Well, what proof do we have that the Provost Marshal is doing his job? When we tell him to do it, and we all speak with one voice, so that they know that when they get an order and they go to fulfill that order, that the people that they're going to get don't say, well, look, I got a contract, a corporate contract here. It's just for a mortgage, but it's still a corporate contract. Well, then the Provost Marshal has to step back and say, okay, citizens can't tell us what to do. And that's why the termination of all corporate contracts, and don't make any more contracts with them, whether verbal or written. Stay in our proper person so that they are assured that they're getting their commands from a lawful sovereign nation. Okay, so the majority of us have not done court actions like this. We're just waking up to the process. So let's wake up. Give the Provost Marshal some stuff to do, because you don't give somebody $1 trillion in gold and not give them something worth something to do. We have to. And then you'll see the proof. The more we demonstrate, the more proof we see. Let me say that again, because that's true for everything that, the reason I'm so convinced is because the more we demonstrate, the more we see. The more we demonstrate, the more we see. That's a spell. And
Islam.
again, Islam.
Yes. This is J. Michael, Chicago, Illinois Territory.
Islam.
Islam. Respects to you, honor to you, appreciation and love to you, and all the heirs on the call. I had a couple of questions. When they pull you over, just like the gentleman, oh, I know the gentleman, the more mentioned earlier, are you contracting them when they pull you over? I mean, you know, for the safety of the children in the car, you pulled over. Now, is that a contract?
No. Nope. The contract comes from our mouths. For the safety of the heirs, you do pull over, but see, they're only supposed to be pulling people over in the event of an emergency, so they're already out of line if they're talking about a broken tail light or some trash like that.
Yeah, and that's my point.
That's not a contract. That's not a contract. But when you start answering questions, when they say, "Well, can I see a driver?" and you say, "Well, I don't have one," and they say, "Well, what do you have? You got to have something." Well, I don't need any of that stuff. I don't have it, and I don't need it. Well, the fact that you're answering his questions means that you're observing his authority.
Okay, but you know they construe authority all the time. You know
they do that.
Unlawful.
It's called manufactured consent.
Right. So when they pull you over, are you supposed to do the personam jurisdiction piece? And that's it?
I want you to study all processes until you know the answer to that question for you.
Oh, okay.
Don't do the demonstration if you do not overstand it. Don't do the demonstration if you don't overstand it and can't stand on it.
So we shouldn't
what would
say
I
anything.
do?
Okay.
What would I do? I wouldn't say anything. But remember, have you terminated all contracts and put it on the public record that you don't have any contracts with them? See, I can tell you what I would do simply because I know what I put on the public record.
Okay,
but I don't know what you put on the public record, and I don't know your understanding of that process.
Well, I'm trying to understand it even more as we go. Another question I had was, you said you naturalized the Office of Tax and Revenue.
Just one moment. Just a moment. Just a moment. I'm trying to. *6, nobility, to unmute your phone because there was a lot of noise coming from a particular place. Go ahead and hit *6 and finish with your question. Are you there, nobility?
Greetings.
Are you there? I can hear you.
This is someone else.
Oh, I'm looking for the noble who was just speaking.
Right. He must have got off the line. I want to.
Hold on for just a moment. Let me see if I can find him. Are you speaking now, nobility? The one who was just asking the question. He was about to ask a question about the tax and the Moorish National Republic Federal Government Tax and Revenue Office. I want to give him an opportunity to finish that question. Okay. I'll wait until he comes back on. I've unmuted that line that I saw, but I don't hear him saying anything.
Well, I wanted to inject into something he was talking about, if you don't mind, Light.
Sure.
I got to commend you on the work that you're doing for the nation. I'm a Moor. I've been a Moor for a good enough time. And I've been through a lot of situations from my coming about and rising to my higher self. And you stress very important to all Moors that I noticed on the line that they got to understand this about this stop situation with these policy enforcers when they approach you. We have to all get this in our cranium that, first of all of us is basically under programming. So we just coming out of the deepest spell that has been casted for so long. You know, since the prophet, Noble Drew Ali, broke the spell. And then a lot of the elders fell back and never passed it on to a lot of us. So now we reawakening back to who we really are on our own land.
Mm-hmm.
And to take this in consideration, a lot of us Moors that are coming into this great understanding have to get this critical overstanding, is that when you pulled over by policy enforcers and you never been through this before, you have to take this in consideration. You can't be cocky with these people, first of all, because you just found out this powerful information that who you are, and you don't got it really in your deeper being yet. You can't just step out there and think, oh yeah, I'm gonna take a lawful stance, which it's good to be like that in that frame of mind. But if you ain't fully there yet, don't challenge them, because half of them know, but a lot of them don't know, and they don't care, because to them, in the deepest of their mind, you supposed to be still sleeping. So they're gonna always test you, no matter what. But once you know, when you come to the overstanding that you already won the battle from studying and going through certain things, you approach things in a different manner, more humble, in a way where it's not combated, with an attitude. Because we're supposed to do better and not be vigilant against the Albions. Because a lot of this stuff that's going on, we caused it to go on because we didn't correct it. So a lot of us got to put our brakes on and slow down and really go within self and meditate and ask the ancestors, to show us the way. Because they're always there talking, waiting to release the answer if we open up the chakras through meditation. And if your diet ain't right and you thinking you doing all this enforcing the law and all that, it's not going to work, because when your diet is out of whack, your frequency is out of whack. And a lot of us don't get this. We don't get this. You can't be eating fast food, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Popeye, eating commercial food, and thinking all this stuff is going to benefit you,
Right. Okay. And you're right about that. We have to clear up
with nature.
Right. You're correct. You are correct about that. That's for sure.
Right.
And that's why we're here together and we're working to do that.
Yeah, we're supposed to share with one another so we all can reach one, teach one. We all know something.
We're getting there.
Huh?
We're getting there. We're getting there.
I know. That's why I'm looking and I feel good, because I'm watching, because you got to understand there's Moors out here that's, they polished and they know. They watching the Moors that are coming into this more so now.
Islam.
To see how they are, approaching situations when they come in contact with these different, different beings, especially the Albions or their own kinds, the NBCs that don't even want to, see nothing better than what they got. And
Islam. And let me just say this too. When any of us are pulled over, You can say nothing, or you can say I'm a Moorish American national, and that's it.
I'll give you a better one. You can say this. This is a powerful word because words cast spells. I don't answer questions. Straight up, simple words. I don't answer questions. They can't say nothing to you then. All you got to do is keep reinforcing that. I don't answer questions. What they going to do?
You can say that. See, that's why I don't. I give people a script.
Huh?
The mantra, the personam jurisdiction mantra is what we tell people. There are other people who have other things that they say and they find those things effective. And so there's not any one way for us to be sovereign. There's a million ways for us to be sovereign. And so we're going to use all of those ways. And that's why I tell people to study, because you can say the mantra. That, to me, that absolutely is the right thing to say, okay? Because at the beginning and end of the day, your bloodline hadn't changed. You're still a Moor.
From a Moabite. That's right.
And there's someone in the chat who says he uses the mantra when he's pulled over.
Mm-hmm.
The personam jurisdiction mantra.
Mm-hmm.
And once you do that, once you make that statement, then you don't say anything else.
Right.
You know, we want to limit, because the next thing they're going to do is start asking questions, because asking questions is contracting when you start answering them. That's my point.
All right. You're right.
The point is,
you already got contracted by having the place on. That's why they pulled you over. That's why you got to know how to come out of that. So when they run your tax, it don't come up on their system.
That's why we terminate all corporate contracts from the beginning. Right. Now, here's the thing that I can say to the Moors that we're seeing across the board as well. We're seeing that since certain major overarching processes have been put in place, like the gold standard and like the prepaid $666 trillion document, now that that document has been spread out all over our land, that they're actually getting in alignment. When we say we're Moors, they're holding back on some of that stuff and you know, pulling back and saying, well, wait a minute, okay, they did say they were Moor, they invoked jurisdiction, now let's go from there. Here in this territory, the state court venues have now begun asking people who come into those state venues, which is why we don't go. They ask everybody at the end of their process, they say, do you realize that you are going into contract with the United States of America for at least 12 months? That's what they ask them at the end of their processes. Whenever whether it's a speeding ticket, a murder, or whatever it is, these state venues here are getting in alignment. And they're doing that all over. That doesn't mean they stop taking Moors who don't know that they're not talking to them. But again, these people are not talking to us. When they pull you over, they're not even talking to you. The mantra and then mute and quiet. You know what I'm saying? The mantra and then quiet. And you don't even have to look at them to say the mantra, because you're not talking to them either. So
they only pulling you over because you under their contract. That's why they look at your vehicle. They identify with what goes with the vehicle, the place. They run your place through. It's in their contract, their jurisdiction. So why would you want to be combative with them when they already got you? And then they come up to you verbally and talk to you. Huh?
What's your name? What's your appellation?
My appellation is Val Bay.
Thank you.
And you remind me of a good sister that's been around. She has a lot of videos on YouTube.
All right. I got back in, so we want to go ahead and continue with the questions from anyone who has not had the opportunity to ask a question. And then I saw something in the chat that talks about spiritual protection. Spiritual protection, listen, that is not to be overlooked at all, because that's really all I'm using here. It's spiritual protection. I don't have 50 more outside the door telling policy enforcement they can't come in here. All I'm doing is being competent and putting things on the record saying I don't have any contract with you, and trust and know that when they came, like the second or third day, they stayed out there for 30 minutes trying to find a contract. They were looking at conveyances. They were doing everything. My conveyance has Moorish tags on it. But my heiress's conveyance does not have Moorish tags on it. But she does have a termination of all corporate contracts on the public record.
Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with maritime lien?
I'm familiar with liens. We do liens, but I do want to give some other people a chance, an opportunity to.
I wouldn't want. I yield the floor. I don't want to take over all the time because I just respect and I got love for you because I see the work you're doing.
Islam. Yeah. So we're in the process of moving from the corporate into, as a nation, we're moving from that corporate into 100% inappropriate persona juris. We really have to pick that piece up and run with it. Put it on the public record, please, that you have terminated all those contracts so that when they come, because the only reason they kept coming here is they need an autograph because they don't have one. They don't have any contracts. And if you don't have any contracts and I've consented not to contract with you, I stay in my bed when you come to the door because you're still not talking to me and I'm not talking to you. Mm-hmm. Do I want them to stop coming here? Yeah, I want them to stop coming here. But they need to know that it don't matter what they do. I'm still inappropriate persona juris all day, every day, and going to stay that way.
Empress Light, I have a question.
Islam, Empress.
How do we foreclose on liens? Do we just send an affidavit requesting them to vacate the premises?
Yes. So our processes build one on top of the other. So the answer to your question is yes, you send an affidavit. You want the lien to accompany that affidavit. You want a copy of the treaty to accompany that affidavit. Okay? And you want the $666 trillion document to accompany that affidavit as well. So so those 4 documents, and then any other documents that you can think of that would that you want to put with that, such as a declaration of trust or something like that, or you can just use the National Declaration of Trust, which is on our website as well.
Okay.
So all you have to do is download a couple of those documents, and then put your lien that you've already done, and then an affidavit of foreclosure on that place, and give them 3 days to get out. And then you send all of that also. You always want to make sure you send a copy to the Provost Marshal.
Okay. All right. Islam.
Now, let me say this too about the Provost Marshal, and this goes back again to what evidence do we have that they're doing what we tell them to do. We know they're going to do what we tell them to do because that's what we brought them here for. We know that. But we had to be lawful because we were so out of alignment that they didn't have to do what we said. Now we're in alignment and continuing to get into alignment and make sure that we stay out of corporate contracts and in alignment. So with the Provost Marshal piece, again, we're waking them up. We know that, for example, the orders that I've given them, I don't know whether they fulfill those orders or not. I don't know that. I'm not worried about it, though, because guess what? With a confirmed judgment on the books, on the public record, we know that there are certain things that they're not going to be able to do because that judgment has been placed out there. And that's showing them that our courts are sovereign and more powerful. Now, there's no question about whether we're powerful or not, so it's not even trying to prove a point to them. We don't have any points to prove to subjects. We just don't. We got more points to prove to ourselves than anything else.
So once we make that judgment, we put that judgment on the public record?
Yes. You will want to do that. Now, some Moors are not comfortable putting everything on the public record, and that's okay. You don't have to put it on the public record right now. But I would encourage everyone to get to the point where you do that, so that in the event that there is any type of violation, all you got to do is tell them, look, on the public record, it's right there.
Okay. Islam.
Islam.
This
is Jade Michael again. I got prevented from coming back into the call earlier. The question that I was asking you about the Office of Tax and Revenue, it's been you said it's been nationalized.
Those resources have been but see, everything's been nationalized by the Moors. We just have to demonstrate that it's been nationalized, which is what we do. That's what we do.
That also applies to the Recorder of Deeds in Washington?
Yes, every last one of them. Not in Washington Territory.
In Washington Territory?
Yeah.
So the Recorder of Deeds is the Moorish Recorder of Deeds now? Like
all Recorder of Deeds belong to the Moors. Every last one of them.
Yes.
Every last one of them. They're actually being paid by us right now. But remember, we've been paying them the whole time anyway. We just were asleep to that fact.
Okay. Because I noticed you said address the Office of Tax and Revenue as the Moorish Office of Tax and Revenue. I was just wondering, do we address the others the same way?
Of course, you address them the same way. Everything's been nationalized. So if you know, or if you want to do a little bit of research on Hugo Chavez and some of the others who were attempting to nationalize resources, that's what we've done. And nationalizing it just means we've said, hey, we're awake. We know everything belongs to us. Here are the resources that we know have been keeping you all fed and everything while we slept. Here's the resources, and do as you've been instructed to do. And in fact, that's why we lean the corporations, because all we're doing is pulling that corporate cover off of the resource and then giving those resources some commands, activating the resources. And by activating the resources like we're doing with the Provost Marshal, all we're doing is activating them, telling them, okay, y'all can get up now, and we have enough work for you for the next 1,000 years, if it be so, if we decide to do that. Okay?
Islam.
Yes. And now, yes, Islam. And Empress Sharon Morris Bay, the answer to your question that you put in the chat, it said, the question is the public record, does that mean Facebook and Scribd? The answer is yes. Anywhere where the public can just go and look at it is the public record. Islam, there was a question.
Yeah, Islam, Empress Light, this is Malik Zahid Bay, Texas Territory.
Islam.
Islam. And again, I commend you also, along with the other Moors, of the job that you are doing for all of us. Gratitude, we appreciate it. My question was, is that the only piece of paperwork that we send to them, to the Provost Marshal, or do we send anything else with the command to appear in court?
You want to send first proof that there was an initial cause of action where you did due process and called them to court. So that first page where you said, hey, you have to appear in court, you want to send that with it.
Okay.
You want to send the arrest and imprisonment command. You want to send a copy of the $666 trillion document. You want to send a copy of the treaty. And you would want to send, what else? Oh, maybe a declaration of trust. The declaration of trust is not necessary because all of that is on our website, and that's the public record also. Everything, Moorish American, I'm sorry, our Facebook pages is the public record too. And by the way, we did nationalize Facebook as well.
Okay.
That's why they haven't just booted us off. We nationalized that, so yeah. Yep, that's the process. You want to send everything that you've done with regard to, and then any proof that you have that they're unlawfully occupying our land, which is any website. You can just print off a website that shows their address.
Okay.
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 So like with the policy enforcers here, I went to their website and I pulled off what they have as disqualification standards. And in their disqualification standards, you're disqualified if you're not a U.S. citizen. That means they can only speak to U.S. citizens. So what the heck are you doing here? So, anything like that, or any paperwork that they sent you. For example, if someone sends you a bill into your mailing location and the bill has the all-caps name on it, that is reason enough for you to go on the internet, look up the CEO and see who that is, or pick up the phone and call them and say, spell the name of the CEO or anybody there. Spell whoever answered the phone, spell their name, and then you send them a command to appear in court because you want to know who this is that's sending documents on your land in corporate status. Who is it? State your name and nationality for the record. And then whether they appear or not, it doesn't matter to us whether they appear or not, because if you appear and you state your name and nationality, you're still unlawful until you say, I'm a subject of the Moor. If they don't appear, then we make the ruling and the judgment anyway. And then we place the judgment on the public record, and then we send an arrest and imprisonment command along with any of the documents that we used in order to call them in. I just so happen to have a photograph of the policy enforcers here, sitting up on somebody's land, talking about looking for some contracts when I told you I ain't have none on the record. I told them on the public record. So, yeah. Yep.
Thank you so much, Empress Ayuya.
Islam. There's an Empress that has, thank
Islam.
You so much,
it's
nobility. Me. Oh, the Empress, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that even if you don't have photos, there's photos of them on the internet. That's what I did with mine.
Yeah.
I got as many photos of them I could find, and I found that sometimes when you print it, the photo doesn't print. So I took a little bit of time. I'm a little bit meticulous, and I just pasted their photo on their write-up. So, yep, I did that.
Yeah. Well, screen capture, all of that. See, there's a reason why they're doing all of that stuff. They are really trying to hide. I went to their website here, and they had one picture of the chief and no pictures of anybody else, no names of any other policy enforcers. Fortunately, I had liened them last year. And last year, we did not have the rest of the processes that we have here. We didn't have the gold standard in place. We didn't have the prepaid, proof of prepayment. With the 666 trillion in gold. We didn't have any of that stuff. And so the ancestors gave us the lien process, and then we held space right there for a minute until we could get the rest of the processes in alignment. And now that we have those processes up to this point where the Provost Marshal can be brought into the picture and into the mix, now we can do more with them. But I wouldn't have had any of their names or anything if I hadn't liened them last year, so I know that was the ancestors saying, go ahead and do that. You're going to need it, because they have a whole directory and no names in the directory. Just the picture of the policy enforcer chief. That's it. I was like, you can run, but you can't hide. We're going to find out the names and things anyway. It ain't like we chasing y'all with guns. You don't have to hide. We're going to find out who you are anyway. And you'll be lean. There'll be documents, paperwork.
Islam, Empress?
Because we're people. Islam.
Islam, this is Wayne Osborne, Walters Bay. Islam to the Moors.
Islam.
If you find yourself falling out of your personam jurisdiction, like you contract with someone, what steps should you take in order to get back in there? Do you have to make a change to your paperwork at all, or send back the same paperwork?
Jurisdiction can be invoked at any time. That's number one. And number two, terminate the contract, and all it takes is 1 or 2 sentences on an affidavit to terminate the contract. We're so used to falling into contracts that now, you know, if you know you're going to go out and contract, just take your red pen with you. After you put the termination of all contracts on the public records, you take that red pen with you, and anything that you sign it with your appellation, impropria persona sui juris, all rights exercised at all times. I actually write all of that out, no matter what I'm doing. And that will keep you living. And since you're living and your termination of corporate contracts is a universal sovereign document, then you'll stay in your own jurisdiction there. But it's when we get into, you know, using the nom de guerre and black and blue ink and all of that stuff that we are, you know, we have to do better. We have to do better. When we know better, we do better. So to answer your question, just 1 or 2 sentences. You know, if I found that I had gotten back into a contract, then I am like Tajiri Bay, impropria persona sui juris, improprio solo, improprio heredis. No United States corporation, company, citizen has personam jurisdiction over the Moors, nor over me. I hereby terminate all presumed corporate contracts and this contract specifically. And then I would name that contract and put any numbers or whatever, and then and put that out there on the public record, even if I just take a snapshot of it, a screen capture of it, and put it up on my Facebook page, because that's usually what I do, aside from posting it on the public record. Okay? All right, we are at 2 hours now, and I want to be sure that we don't go too far over. We're 10 minutes over the 2-hour mark. We want to keep it going. We'll be back right here again next Thursday. Now, Empress and Mara specifically, but I want everybody to notice, I'm so happy, that our visitor from last time came on the call in the beginning, and when we told them we loved them, they didn't come back.
Really? You mean he came the beginning?
He came on the call in the beginning. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes, and he did. Wait till yes, he did at the beginning. And he said, "This is whatever his name is." And I told him that that's good. You can say we love you, but you gotta behave in here. And as soon as I said that, he hung up and left and didn't come back. Oh, get him more. Boy, that love is something else.
Love.
With kindness.
Yes. You know what? They mimic everything we do. They mimic everything we do. And when we show them love, that's why I said, and that brother was right about that peace thing. Listen, the peace is the key. That's the key to all of this. They will do exactly what we tell them to do when we're peaceful. And don't have the energy where you've evolved enough to tell them you love them, but they got to behave. You'll mess around and have those people doing everything, and I mean everything you say. He did not, because those who were on the call the last time, he kept coming back, and we even ended up locking the meeting. And I said, ancestors, no, we got to do better. The Moors have to do better. When the subjects start cutting up, we have to do better. And he didn't come back, so I'm excited about that because I knew it was going to work. And we don't hate. This is all about love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So I'm good with that. And if there be no further questions more, thank you. We are so united. It's just unbelievable. I love our unity. It's really, really doing what it's supposed to do. We are grateful to the ancestors for assisting us in that unity piece because we're really sticking together and loving on one another and assisting one another. And we're doing what the prophet told us to do. And he said in the 2000s, the Moors are going to come into their own. Let's see, in the chat, someone said, where can the mantra be found? Can someone type the personam jurisdiction mantra in the chat? It's just 2 or 3 sentences, 2 or 3 statements.
Like?
Islam.
I was wondering about the credit instrument.
Yes.
Well, I was trying to see how the process is. Well, I done did, everything. I'm just twiddling my thumbs. I was just trying to see how we would sit. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, I'm going to let you go and do your thing.
Okay. So with the credit instrument, here's the thing. One of the cards that I was going to show you was from one of the banks. Actually, it's two banks that have returned our affidavits to us. With regard to that document and savings and trust, I believe it was Empress Bernula, who is on the call, who said that one of the banks has announced that they're updating their financial system. Hold on for just a moment.
Yes, that's Wells Fargo.
Yes. So we're hearing all across the board, and if you go on to the Office of Tax and Revenue in D.C., they're saying the same thing. We are updating our financial systems. Most everyone is on board already. We have to give them the opportunity to wake up and do that part. And their updating really just means they're pulling that commercial piece off. And the things that were back when our ancestors were here, they're just putting that back in place. So we have to give them the opportunity to do that. Rome wasn't built in a day. So what we're doing, and this is what I'm doing on this end, is holding steady with what I've been doing. Send them the commands, telling them what I want them to do, and then telling them that when you receive this command, do these things, and then send me something. I tell them to send me something, whether it be a card that is gold backed, and I tell them, if you send me a card, do not put any name on that card. In other words, don't put nothing in all capital letters on there, because that's not me. I'm going to send it back. And I'm going to call you into court and ask you why you did that. So we have to give them competent orders in order for them to do what they're supposed to do, or they're going to ignore the orders. And so that's the part. But see, when I order something, or not order, but make a command, I don't just make that command for myself. I make it for everybody, for all Moors. So that's what we're doing with that document. That document is once the savings and trusts go into, once they convert their systems all the way over, which they're doing, they're moving that SWIFT system to the side, and they're putting the gold-back lawful system back in place, because it was in place initially, and they put that commercial piece over it. And once they do that, then we'll be able to move forward in terms of monetizing documents and et cetera, so that we can get our commerce going lawfully. Okay. So we're basically just taking it a day at a time and a step at a time and doing what we need to do, making sure that we pass our test in terms of, the corporate contracts piece. That's the most important piece. And then knowing that they're not talking to us when they speak. That's actually the most important thing that any of us can know. If you know that, you're good. Knowing that when they speak, they are not talking to us, period, ever. So that's what we're doing with that piece, is giving the orders, sending it out with every command that leaves this consulate here. We send that document with them, and we just tell them everything's already prepaid, so we don't want to hear no craziness. Just go ahead and do as commanded, and we'll wait while you make your conversion. The Moors that are here on this call have been chosen specifically to break that ice. Okay? We've been chosen for that. So we know that it's not going to happen in one day. And here's the statistics historically. Historically, it takes a total of 7 years for regime, well, and it's not regime change, but it's to go from where we were to where we're going. It takes a total of 7 years. Do we have to wait 7 years for everything to happen? No, we don't have to wait 7 years. 7 years is by the time we get to 7 years, and right now we're 2020, I believe, might start the 7 years. If not, the 7 years has already started, and 2020 will be 3.5 years, depending. So my calendar is a little bit off, but it takes about that long, but you can best know that's actually how long it takes to wake everybody up, all of the resources to wake up, So, Empress Jasmine, yes, I will be posting this call onto, I'll just put it on YouTube so that it can be out there. We have, by the way, for some of the nobles, we have, we've nationalized Bitcoin and the blockchain. We've nationalized those two resources as well, specifically speaking to them, so that anything of ours that goes up on the blockchain, if you know how the blockchain looks, the blockchain is going to be awesome for us down the road, because we can put the $666 trillion document on the blockchain once they get it right, because they got to get it in alignment. It needs to be aligned. But once it gets in alignment with gold and silver, and those resources are backed by gold, we can put the $666 trillion document out there, and every resource can just pull from there with our consent, of course. And that means that they'll have to have an affidavit with a Moorish American signature on it in order for them to do anything with regard to that. And as you know, the reason for the blockchain in the first place, and Bitcoin specifically, but all the other, there are a lot of minimal digital currencies out there. We're not digitizing per se anything without backing it by gold. And if you've ever seen the apps that they use, they're already set up for precious metals. Except those people don't have precious metals ownership, so we know they did that for us. All we had to do was nationalize it and then give them the opportunity and the time to close all the back doors. And we're not worried about the back doors in terms of fiat, because once we give them a command and we back it by gold, all the fiat piece gets shut off anyway, because those two systems cannot exist like that. They're not interchangeable. A gold-backed system is not interchangeable with a fiat system. They are separate. Just like our nationality is separate from citizen. Can't be a citizen and sovereign at the same time. You're one or the other. Light cannot exist with darkness. Okay, that's what the Septuagint says. So, every resource on this land has already been nationalized.
Islam, Empress Light. It's Turu Bay. You just mentioned you can't be sovereign and a citizen at the same time. That's correct. One of the test things that the policy enforcers are throwing out there now. When presented with your nationality, then one of the first things they're going to say is they're going to try to see if you bite the sovereign citizen deal. And if you do,
and we
then,
stand mute with that. That's not us. They're not talking to us.
Right, but if you're not studied, then you will go for that, and you will say, yes, I am a sovereign citizen, and then they'll put handcuffs on you and take you. So that's just one of their tests that they all seem to be throwing out there now, Islam.
Well, and they can't act like they don't know about the Moors because they throw the same test out to everybody. So that means they've discussed it and conspired in that manner. That means that they know that the Moors are who we say we are. And again, when we're competent, we don't have to justify or answer any questions or anything. Questions? Who's asking? Who are you on our land? And that is another reason why also with regard to pulling people over, many of the Moors have asked, that question came up several times tonight. So let me say this about that. Make sure that, number one, you put the termination of corporate contracts on the record, and number two, that you continuously notify them in writing by affidavit that you're there. And of course, now remember when you write to them, and I mean not write to them, but when you put your stuff on the public record and then you send it directly to the policy enforcers, they're going to test. They're going to test to see. And the thing about the test is this. The citizens are being tested all day, every day, and many more who haven't sent out any notifications are being tested. So to me, I'd rather be tested with documents on the public record than not. Okay? There's one question and this is the last question we'll take, and then we'll end the call. How to handle Moors that are working with the colonizers, judges, and attorneys? Do we take them to the court, and do we imprison them like the colonizers? We are not. Okay, so here's the thing. In order for them to be working with the judges and attorneys, the fake judges and the fake attorneys and all of those fake corporate, in order for them to be working with them, they have to be using a nom de guerre of some kind, or they have to have some corporate contract. That's the corporate contract that you want to lien. Whatever their corporate contract is, you lien it. Because, see, all corporations need to be liened by the Moors anyway. So you lien them. And I would be hesitant, because we have so much work to do with colonizers, I'd be hesitant to bring a Moor into our court. I really would. Unless they, like if there's a sleeping Moor who thinks he's an attorney and thinking he's with the prosecutor's office and going to prosecute the Moors, oh, he gets liened and he will get called into court too. He sure will, and there will be an order for his arrest and imprisonment. And here, this is the thing. When we send an order for their arrest and imprisonment, if they do the same thing we're doing, they won't be arrested. If they declare their nationality and then know that those people are not talking to them, they won't be arrested. Because then there becomes an identity issue. We're only talking about corporations. We're not talking about the living, breathing Moorish American nationals. Okay? So anybody that's working over there on that side, they need to be liened. But think about it. I have liened that thing, that monster they call a straw man. I've liened that hot mess. So I'm not just saying that for other people. I'm talking about all of it, all that stuff. Any corporation needs to be liened. They all do. Islam. That being all, we're going to end the call at this point. Islam. Thank you all so much for your demonstrations. That's the part that's just really got us where we need to be. Is that the Moors are doing their demonstrations, and we're all speaking with one voice. Let's keep that up.
Islam.
Okay.
Peace.
Islam. Peace and love, Moors. Peace.
Islam.
Peace, sister.
Peace. Islam, Moors. Islam. Empress Valerie, I hope your question was answered with regard to the foreclosures. Islam. Islam. Empress Islam. 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 Peace and love. Thank you for that energy. I feel that energy. Peace and love. I love it. Islam. 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 You look beautiful, Empress. Islam. 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 Islam Moors. Islam, Empress Carolyn. Islam. Islam, nobility. Rika, Islam. Pax Etimor. Islam. 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 Islam.
Islam.
Islam.